What is up, everybody? It's Base Jalarin, and I'm here again with another video from the floor of my fucking closet. And today, I have my cat, and we are here to film a video for a tag that was recently created by a Mesky OJ, and I will link to the original video in the description below. And the new tag, I honestly, it seemed really interesting to me. It's like a story time tag where we pick different volumes of manga and we talk about like stories that are associated with that manga, like what happened the day you bought it, or like some sort of like just fond memory that's attached to those volumes. And honestly, I love fucking collecting manga, and every single manga that I have in here has a story to tell, regardless of whether or not that story is interesting or not. But I just love talking about manga and stuff like that, so I figured this would be like a good opportunity to just share some fucking stories with y'all. Some story time lets you in to the everyday life of a fucking bastard who loves manga like me. And my cat is here, and she's just being a big ol' love bug today. So you might see her from time to time, you might see me petting her from time to time, but other than that, let's just get on with the story time. And the first volume I actually no longer have, but it still is just very, very near and dear to my heart, and that would have to be Naruto Volume 4. Now, Naruto Volume 4 was the very first volume of Naruto that I ever bought. I didn't buy Volume 1 of Naruto like a regular person. I went and bought Volume 4. I was aware of Naruto. I was first made aware of Naruto as soon as I got into high school, and I was very interested in it, so I went to the bookstore, and they didn't have like any of the like prior volumes, but they had Volume 4, so I picked up Volume 4. And it was Volume 4, if you own Naruto at all, you would know that it's the end of the Zabuza arc, and holy shit, that was quite the volume to pick up, because I was sitting there in the freaking Walden books, crying my fucking eyes out about these characters that I knew nothing about. But goddamn was that fucking scene, the death scene of Zabuza and Haku, which, if those are spoilers for you, I'm sorry, you're a few years too late. But just that scene was just so powerful to me at the time, as like a young teenager first getting into manga. I literally bawled physical human tears in public in this fucking bookstore over Naruto Volume 4. So of course that very same day I bought it, because it made me fucking cry, and that was a thing that happened. So yeah, that's the first stories that I cried over Naruto Volume 4 at a Walden Books as a teenager, as a young lass. I was a sensitive child. Next, the story about this is actually kind of unrelated. It's more about the event that took place in, and that this is Inoboku Secret Service Volume 0. It's in Japanese, and what this is just the character book for the manga, but this is my first exposure to Inoboku Secret Service. I had no idea what the fuck it was about, but at the time I was way, way, way into age gap romance, and so I found this at like a random like booth, and I was all like, holy shit, I gotta get this. This guy's clearly older than her. So I got it. And it's a pretty good story, again, if you can stand age gap romance. But, I got this at the very first anime expo I went to, and there's a story associated with the very first anime expo that I went to that I fucking love telling, because it's fucking hilarious, but also terrifying if you're a girl and you've been in this sort of situation before. So I'm just going to share it with you because I fucking love talking about it. And I affectionately refer to the story as the Rape Man story. And for anybody who's worried, no, I was not sexually assaulted, but there's a reason why I call this story the Rape Man story. And that's because this story will much later on refer to a character from a hentai known as Rape Man, who, in perfect hentai fashion, is this sort of ninja vigilante who finds these no-good women who are contributing only evils to society, and he fucks the bad out of them. He finds them and he does naughty, nasty things to them, and they become better people. And hentai is gross and bad, and we can all agree on that. But that's what we're referring to when I refer to this story as the Rape Man story. So, let's begin. So, I am waiting outside for my husband, who was then at the time my boyfriend. He was at a Gundam panel, and at the time I had no interest in Gundam at all, so I was sort of waiting for him to get out. I was sitting outside the panel room, and I was doodling. And this other guy comes up to me, and he takes interest in what I'm drawing. And I have this general rule when I'm at conventions. It's that I try not to harsh anybody's mellow when I'm there. I try to be as approachable and friendly to people as I possibly can be at conventions, unless, I can't, unless I'm put in a situation where I cannot be friendly to someone. But if somebody just approaches me and they're like, hey, I like your drawing, I'll be like, aw, sweet, cool, a fellow nerd. So I let him sit next to me and watch me draw, and for a while it was pleasant. We just had a nice conversation about manga, about anime, about drawing, and then right the fuck shit out of nowhere, he makes this awful observation that turned the fucking situation from just a friendly conversation between two nerds to a situation I had to get out of immediately. And he looks at my drawings and goes, something I noticed. All the girls you draw have smaller boobs than you. Which made me hyper aware of the fact that the guy had been staring at my tits this entire time, and was able to make that observation that all the girls that I drew had smaller tits than the ones that I happened to have at the time. And, that, you should not ever do that, ever. Don't ever, talk about a girl's titties, unless you're in a situation where she wants you to talk about her titties. Yeah, that got wildly uncomfortable very, very fast, and I saw fit to leave immediately. So I tell this man, hey, I need to go get some fucking lunch. I need to leave. It was nice talking to you, but it's time for me to go. And then he was all like, can I come with you? He was very, very interested in coming along with me and following me to wherever the fuck I was about to try and escape to, and I was very insistent that no, I need to go on my own. But he just really, really wanted to just stick around with me. And at that point, I went from I need to get out to I need this guy to leave me alone. And so I immediately changed my strategy, and I was like, I realized that what he was after. So I was all like, I'm here, I'm waiting for my boyfriend, he's in this panel in here, and this motherfucker has the balls to look me in the fucking eyes and say, well, he isn't here right now, is he? And I was freaked the fuck out. My life flashed before my eyes. I went into a straight panic. I had no idea what to do. This guy, boyfriend or no, dedicated relationship or no, was going to do something to me. At this point, I was very sure that he was going to be up to no good at this point. So, I am all out of options. This guy's very attached to me, and he's made himself very clear to be a creeper as shit. But then, who should appear? Who should walk down this hall but a guy cosplaying Rape Man? And we look at each other. We look at this man. He looks to me. I look at him. And Creeper Fuck Off is like, hey, I gotta go. And he runs after this Rape Man cosplayer. And that was it. That was the last I ever saw of him, because he saw Rape Man. And it was a weird and awful and uncomfortable experience, and I immediately left the vicinity. I went to go hide and go find lunch and sit under the stairs until my boyfriend's panel got out. And yeah, that's the story associated with Inaboku's Secret Service Volume 0, the epic that is the Rape Man story. Anyway, let's get on to lighter things. Let's get on to happier stories and better times. And that would be the times that are associated with Black God Volume 1. Now, I bought Black God in a little pack of like bulk used books at Hobby Jungle in downtown LA. It was a year that me and my friends had planned to go to Anime Expo, but one by one all of our plans fell through. It was a devastating couple of months where we couldn't get anything together right. Every single plan fell through. Nobody could actually come and make it to Anime Expo. Nobody could get a room. I couldn't get work off because Anime Expo fell on a holiday. And it was just a miserable ass time. But then we decided that we were just gonna go to just downtown LA for just a weekend. Just to hang out randomly in Los Angeles. So we went and we stayed at the DoubleTree that is next to Little Tokyo. It's next to the Kinokuniya down there. It's just nerd heaven, regardless of whether or not you're there for an anime convention or not. And I just had so many fun experiences, so many fond memories, just hanging out with my friends in a city that we did not live in, just doing everything we could in the time that we had. And since there wasn't an anime convention going on at the time, it was a very intimate experience. There weren't a lot of crowds. It was pretty much, we had this fucking anime utopia just all to ourselves because nobody was fucking there because it was the week after Anime Expo. And I found this at Hobby Jungle, all 12, not all 12, but 12 of the first volumes of Black God for $40. It was fucking great. It was a pretty decent time. If I had more money, I'd like to just have just regular vacations where we're not there to do anything particular. We just go and see the sights and just experience things without a schedule, without any pressing matters. It was just really fucking fun. Would it have been funner if we went during Anime Expo? Definitely. This year I went to Anime Expo and it was fun as fucking shit. But that on its own, just getting to know the area, just going and just shopping at Kinokuniya every morning, going to that little bakery in downtown, Little Tokyo, best fucking cheesecake. It was just a fun and interesting experience, and I wish I could do it more often. Next, I've told this story before, but I fucking love telling it because it just goes to show what kind of person I was as a child, and that would be DramaCon. Is an English manga put out by Tokyo Pop. I never liked this manga as a kid. As a teenager, I ripped the shit out of this manga. I hated it, despite having never read it. I just didn't like the concept. It felt very weebish to me, and at the time I was very, very against being a weeaboo. I lived that life, and I didn't want to go back there, so anything that reminded me anything of being a weeaboo, hardcore, wear Naruto headbands over your head, you got a friend who you call affectionately named Neko, you slip Japanese words and everything, you want to go to Japan and live as a manga artist, hardcore weeaboo. And I didn't want to go back to that life, and DramaCon reminded me so much of that life, and I hated it on principle. And I remember very fondly, I went to this sleepover with my friends, and Volume 3, the last volume of DramaCon, had just come out, and there had been a decent expanse of time between Volumes 2 and Volume 3, and two of my friends found Volume 3, and they were so purely ecstatic, and I feel so bad that I hated on them when they were just having the time of their fucking lives because their favorite manga had finally gotten an update after so long. And so they both bought Volume 3, both of them each individually bought Volume 3, and we went and we had this sleepover, and the whole entire night they were reading it together, book club style, where they would read one page, and they would not go on to the next page until the other was done. They had to read this thing in tandem, and I just sat back and watched them and judged them the whole entire fucking time like a miserable fuck. My legs are falling asleep and I'm trying to find the best sitting position for myself right now. And then I was all like, well, if I want to properly hate on this series, I'm gonna have to buy it for myself and read it and just experience it for the weeb piece of shit manga it is. So I fucking bought it, and I legitimately enjoyed it. I didn't let anybody know that I enjoyed it. In fact, I was very adamant to tell all of my friends that I did not like it, and it was bad because I read it and I knew. But I actually legitimately enjoyed it. It's a fine series for what it is, DramaCon. It ain't bad. The author, Svetlana Shmakova, I think is how you pronounce her name. That's a very awful pronunciation. She's done a lot of stuff recently, a lot of stuff that's come out that just resonates with people, like, in general, just across the board, not just manga people. She's a very good author. She writes a really good story. DramaCon's pretty neat. I know that we all like to cringe really hard at the Tokyo Pop English manga line, but DramaCon is pretty decent, and I found that out after I judged the shit out of it as a kid. But yeah, that's that. Next is just fucking funny. I love this fucking shit that I got up to with this manga, and that is Make Love and Peace. Now, Make Love and Peace is a part of a very short-lived comic line from a publisher called Love Press. I have no idea what the fuck they were about, but they were very much into printing adult-themed manga, specifically manga that fell in the genre called Radikomi, or lady comics. And that's just stories about older women. It's kind of like josei, but with a sexy twist. It's josei with titties. That's all it is. It's just porn, but for, like, your dignified older woman. Just going to the office every day, reading your dream romance about how you got a cop boyfriend and you all just love fucking, but also drama happens. But yeah, there's just a lot of, like, very pure, very vanilla fucking in this. And I got this right after Christmas, right before I went on a trip to my grandparents. My grandparents have a fucking house in the middle of the goddamn woods. They are the classic storybook grandparents. I shit you not. They own land in the fucking mountains, and their house is in the middle of the fucking wilderness. And I got this. This is all I had with me. This and, like, a sketchbook. That's all I had. Because we were only going to be staying there for a couple of days, just for, like, New Year's, but we got fucking trapped in those fucking mountains, in those snowy fucking mountains, because they're, like, the pass that we drove through to get to my grandparents' house was closed because of the snow, so we got stuck there for, I think, like, 3 or 4 extra days, and all I had on me was this fucking manga about this girl fucking her cop boyfriend, and I read it too much. I became wildly up, maybe because of the cabin fever. I hate my extended family, and so I locked myself in my room at every opportunity and just read and read and read Make Love and Peace over and over again. And all the gathering of the Mormons, and I'm up there reading softcore porno, drawing fan art. I would, like, pick out, like, scenes, and I would redraw them with characters that I shipped together. It was an interesting time. It was an interesting point. An interesting series of days. Just me and this fucking book. It's funny as hell. And finally, I have Gundam, The Origin Volume 1. This is special to me because this was the first thing that I ever bought for the man who is now my husband. This was the thing that I bought for our first anniversary together when we were dating. And I was so fucking pleased with myself because I'm buying my boyfriend who likes Gundam a Gundam related thing, and he will like it because it's Gundam related. And he did like it. He liked it very, very much. And it just, I just enjoy holding on to these things that I got for him. It just, reminds me of when we were a lot younger and a lot more inexperienced and just earlier points in our relationship. And it also reminds me that after we moved in together, it was up to me to buy the rest of the volumes, and he would not help me. I say that with the most affection I possibly could, because I'm the one who buys all the manga. He buys all the anime and all the video games and all the gunpla. So we both have our own hobbies that take up like all of our money. So whenever I say like, and I had to buy the manga, it's because I'm the one who's in charge of buying the manga. I do it so out of love. But yeah, it fell upon me to finish the series that I bought for him as a present out of just love. But yeah, like the reason we have Gundam, the Origin, in our collection at all is because I fucking love my husband and I will do anything for him. But yeah, that's it. That's my tag video. I'm just gonna do exactly what MSKOJ did, and if you want to do this, if you got some stories to share with the world, you share them. Make a video, pull some manga out your shelves, and tell us about them, because I'm sure we all got some interesting stories to tell. So anyway, I will see you guys in the next video, whenever that may be, and until then, everybody just stay fucking sexy.